Uh, Before we dive into this little discussion, let's take a look at some of the beliefs, the different beliefs around the world about Santa Claus. Now, uh, obviously, I don't have enough time to cover every culture around the world, so I'm just going to pick a few. And before anyone gets upset and says that's not true about that culture, keep in mind that it varies from family to family, from region to region, from time period to time period. So the information that I'll be presenting is at one point how Santa was celebrated in that culture, or currently is, and it may just be a part of it. There's no way that I have enough time right now to encompass every aspect of it from every culture. So we're going to go to Germany first. Germany actually has 3 types of Santa Claus type figures they celebrate. One, of course, is Nicholas. Nicholas is the patron saint of children and travelers. He would leave small gifts in the boots and shoes of children. And it was stipulated that these boots and shoes had to be kept clean, or they wouldn't get gifts. Also of travelers and seafarers. He would leave gifts for them to help them get through difficult seasons. He left secret gifts, and it was early in December. Santa Claus or Nicholas was not celebrated on December 25th. The second figure is Father Christmas. Now, both of these figures look similar to the American type Santa. You know, he has on the white fur around his red suit, and he's a bearded man. Nicholas isn't as fat as Father Christmas is. Father Christmas has a more nostalgic look. But he's very similar to the American version of Santa Claus. And he comes on Christmas Eve to bring gifts. And then there's Christkindl. It's a fairy type child with angelic wings. Now, although this looks totally different than the Santa Claus figure, this little angel thing, still brings gifts to good children, and they're usually brought on December 6th. Africa. Africans celebrate Christmas in Christian communities. And incidentally, it's kind of odd that Santa Claus is pretty much celebrated only in Christian communities in Africa. And there again, bringing gifts to good children. England or Scotland, Santa is viewed much like that in America. Mexico, they don't focus on Santa Claus as much. I think it's pronounced Santa Claus or something along those lines. But other cultures are bigger on Santa Claus than the Mexican culture is. In the northern states, they do have a Santa figure, but he brings gifts in January because they don't want to take emphasis off the birth of Christ. They want to keep emphasis on the birth of Christ, so they have Santa come after the traditional Christmas date. Where in the southern states, they don't focus on Santa Claus much at all. They still bring presents to the good boys and girls, but they tell the children that the 3 wise men are the one bringing the gifts.
In Kenya, they do this parade that they go around and get books and all that from people
To give to the children?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. See, so it changes up as you go from country to country. Japan, that's a little bit different. Their Santa Claus is more like a Buddhist monk. And he's called, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but the best I can pronounce it's Hota Osho. And they believe that he has eyes in the back of his head so that he can keep a watch all around to see who is a good boy and a good girl.
In Switzerland, they have these little germs that hide in the Christmas tree and give they give presents to the good children, and the bad children don't get them at all.
They don't get anything. Where some cultures, they either leave switches or coal for bad children.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we explain all the bad children in America that we know getting good presents on Christmas Day? Something's wrong with that Santa Claus theory.
Santa Claus isn't real is the only thing I have for that. The parents are putting good presents because they haven't seen how bad their children have been at school and in public.
No, I think most parents know how bad their children are. Point is whether you're bad or good, people have a need to believe in Santa Claus. They want to believe in Santa Claus. Japanese Christians usually abandon all secular versions of Christmas. They don't focus on Santa Claus at all. They spend Christmas Day doing nativity pageants and go into hospitals and orphanages to minister. Brazil, they have Papa Noel. They believe that he lives in Greenland, and on Christmas Eve, he visits and leaves small gifts in the shoes and hides them around the house. And the kids have to get up on Christmas Day and they have to go around the house and find the gifts that Papa Noel has left. And then America, we all know the traditional Santa Claus in America. He travels around the world on Christmas Eve, all around the world, leaving gifts for all good children. You know, we sing the little song, you better watch out, you better not pout, you better not cry, I'm telling you why, Santa Claus is coming to town.
All that is to make the kids believe in Santa Claus, and all it is for the parents having to worry about less bad behavior.
Okay. And you know, playing pretend with Santa is not a big deal. That's okay, it's fun. I personally believe in telling children the truth. But a parent who allows their children to believe in Santa Claus is not a terrible parent. Most of them are doing it for fun reasons. There again, we're back to the question, why do they need for their children to believe in Santa Claus so badly? Most parents who badly want their children to believe in Santa Claus have believed in him themselves, and they have that need to keep that alive and to keep that alive for their children. So as we get into this, we're going to find out why that's so important. We have the tradition of coal being left for bad kids.
We have the tradition of elves.
That's
the elf on the shelf.
And our beliefs grew out of the traditions of German, Dutch, and British colonists in the early American history. Families during the Victorian era wanted Christmas to be a magical time. They wanted it to be something special for their children. For so long, children were treated as nothing but property, and when they come from poor settings and stuff, it's like they have nothing to look forward to, and there's a lot of sadness. So in the Victorian era, they wanted to create something better for their children, but they didn't want them to be spoiled brats. So they would have this one time a year when they would celebrate the birth of Christ, that they would also celebrate Christmas with their children. And they wanted to teach them also to focus on family, doing family traditions together, and also focus on giving to others as well, not just receiving.
There's nothing wrong about having the birth of Christ and Santa, but you need to be more worried about the birth of Christ instead of Santa.
You're exactly right. Let me turn it off.